Hello, today we're building a French cleat system with a chisel rack. First we're going to start with a basic 2x4, turning the table saw blade at about 45-degree angle. We're going to rip that right down the middle. And it'll come out looking something like this. So you basically just got to take half of what you ripped and screw it to the wall. You're going to screw it through the fatter part of one of the boards that you just ripped. Mark out your studs and screw it on. And here I am just extending the French cleat as far as I wanted it to go. Mark my cut the 2x4, run it through the planer on all four sides a couple times just to square off the edges and clean up the faces. Got the blade at a 45-degree angle and ripping it down the same way I did the other one. And again, screwing it to the wall, being sure to screw it into studs and screwing through the fat part of the French cleat board. And you'll see the other one just drops right in behind it, and that's how the system works. So here I just picked out a 2x4 about 16-18 inches long or so, just long enough to be able to store my chisels. I have about 7 of them. So I just took all the chisels and figured out about how long I want the board to be. So I'm going to rip that board down the middle and use it to store my chisels on the new French cleat system. And when I planed it, I made sure to plane it short enough that I could rip it with my table saw. And I didn't rip it down the middle, I left one side a little bit thicker, so I had one side to chisel out from. So what we're going to do here is chisel out some dados for a place for the chisels to slide into the rack. So here I'm just laying the chisels out the way I want them to be stored, just spacing them out by an eye. I suppose you could take the time to measure even spaces in between, but I'm not really that picky. I just need something to store my chisels on. Get them up and out of the way so they're not banging around. I've had my chisels stored in a drawer since I've had them, and it's really not the best way to store them. So I'm just moving the chisels out of the way and I'm gonna grab a speed square and just bring the lines down to the front of the board, so when I bring it over to the table saw I can see my mark. I can see how wide the chisel is, so I can make sure not to clean out more than I need or too much. So dropping the blade down to maybe a 1/4 inch. And just running the board over the blade to clean out that gap for a place to put the chisel. So when these two pieces come together, the chisels will slide right down in between. I do need to make a cross-cut jig for my table saw, because here I'm just using, kind of just going by eye and using the attachments for my table saw to slide it across, which isn't great, but it works for now. So in here I'm just using the chisel that's going to go in that particular slot to clean that slot out. One, to clean it out and clean out all the cuts from the table saw, and two, it also is good to use the chisel that you're going to be putting into that slot so you can make sure it's going to fit smooth. So like you see here in the picture, you're basically just cutting across with the saw, and then after you're going to go back in with the chisel and clean out anything that you didn't cut out with the table saw. So I'm going to grab the two pieces, make sure they fit together snug and smooth. Test fit one of the chisels to make sure they sit in there nice, and they do. So we're going to grab our glue and head over to the other table and glue the two pieces together. So here you want to put the glue on the board where the two boards are going to meet together. Being careful not to put any glue down in the gaps where the chisels are going to go. Sorry about the video, got blurry. My camera went out of focus and I didn't notice it. But you get the idea. So I'm just putting in just enough glue on there to get the two sides to glue together. I'm not going to be too concerned on how strong it's going to be. I mean, I'm going to clamp it together with some glue, but just about any amount of glue is just going to be more than strong enough to hold the boards together while the chisels sit inside. There's really not going to be a lot of weight on it, so I'm not real concerned. But I do not want to put too much glue in there that I have too much squeeze out and get a bunch of glue into the gaps that I chiseled out. So just one extra clamp on there for some added strength. Waited a couple hours and take the clamps off once it's dry. And here there is a tiny bit of squeeze out. I wiped off pretty much most of the glue before I clamped it. So there really isn't any cleanup that needs to be done, at least as far as I'm concerned. Not real concerned about it being super pretty. I mean, it looks good to me. It doesn't need to look pretty. It's not a decoration by any means. It's just a place for me to store my chisels. So here I'm cutting a piece of that other French Cleat board just long enough to fit on the new chisel rack. And you don't really need it to be the full length, but I'm doing that because I have it, so I figured why not. For most things, you're going to want it to go end to end anyway for maximum strength. So here I'm just marking a line where the French Cleat's going to attach to the back of the chisel rack. I'm just going to lay some glue down on the back and on the French Cleat itself, smooth it out a bit, enough to hold it together pretty good. It's going to be really nice having my chisels hanging up on the wall somewhere within reach. A lot easier than opening up a drawer and reaching in, especially reaching in for a sharp tool. Not really the safest thing to be doing. So here I lay it back down on the other board on the back of the chisel rack and just kind of press it into place. Go grab my brad nailer. And you can see here how those two pieces fit together. Then I'm just using the brad nailer to secure the two pieces together while it dries. But the glue itself is strong enough to hold the two pieces together, but the brad nailer will give it a little extra strength and it'll hold it together while the glue dries. And you want to be careful here not to run brad nails through where the slots are for the chisels, because of course you're not going to be able to slide the chisels through anymore because there'll be a nail in the way. So You just want to keep an eye on where you're dropping those brad nails in. So I didn't have to wait for the glue to dry because the brad nails are holding it together. So I brought it over to the bench and got my chisel set up in the new rack. Then I'm going to bring it over to the wall and hang it up. There you go, and you can see what the side of the French Cleat looks like with the chisel rack hanging on the wall. And there's the finished product. Looks pretty good, I think. So I hope you like this video. If you'd like to see more of these videos that I'm creating, hit the subscribe button down below. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or any feedback, whether positive or negative, I'd love for you to throw that down in the comment section and let me know what you think either way. I'm going to try to post out some more videos at least once a week or so with just stuff I'm doing around the house. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, there's my link there, Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching and have a good day.